My mother always believed she was doing the right thing. She walked every morning, ate her salads, had her fruit bowl at lunch. She followed all the advice the magazines gave her: low fat, plenty of fiber, and natural sugar from fruits. But then one day, she stood up from the couch and her legs gave out. No fall, no accident, just this strange silent weakness, like her strength had been slowly leaking away without warning. At first, we thought it was just age, a bad day, maybe the weather. But what we discovered next changed everything. Because it wasn't what she wasn't doing, it was what she was doing every single day with complete trust. It was the fruit. Not all of it, just certain kinds. The kind that spike blood sugar, the kind that inflame aging joints, the kind that make your legs feel heavier, slower, and less steady with every passing week. So in this video, we're going to walk through 7 fruits that may be quietly draining your leg strength after 60. And at the end, I'll give you access to a free downloadable guide with the full list, plus senior-safe fruit swaps and 3 simple tips to reduce leg swelling at home. If you've ever wondered why your knees ache after lunch, why your feet feel tight in the evening, or why your legs just don't feel like they used to, this might be the wake-up call your body's been waiting for. Before we dive in, take a second to let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. It's always inspiring to see seniors watching from all across the world, and if you find this video helpful, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe to Senior Revival. We share natural strategies, mobility wisdom, and wellness tools for seniors who want to stay strong, independent, and informed. Now let's talk about that fruit bowl and what could be hiding in it. Pineapple looks like the perfect fruit. It's tropical, juicy, and loaded with a natural enzyme called bromelain, a compound people praise for reducing inflammation. But for seniors, pineapple can quietly do the opposite. It's not just sweet, it's highly acidic, and it floods the bloodstream with natural sugars that aging bodies struggle to process. As we get older, our veins become thinner. They don't handle sugar spikes the same way they did in our 30s. So when that sugar hits your bloodstream, your circulation slows down, especially in the legs, feet, and thighs, the areas farthest from the heart. Over time, this can lead to a dull ache behind the knees, swelling in the ankles, and tightness or burning in the calves after even a short walk. And the acid, it doesn't help. Pineapple's acidity can irritate already inflamed joints, especially if you have arthritis or stiffness in your knees or hips. Some people say their legs feel heavier after eating pineapple, like their energy is sinking into the floor. But the scariest part, there are no immediate symptoms. No rash, no stomachache, no real warning. Just a slow fade until one day, standing up becomes something you have to plan for. Bananas are one of the most popular fruits in the world. They're soft, sweet, easy to digest, and loaded with potassium, a mineral often linked to muscle health and cramp prevention. For years, my mother believed eating a banana in the morning helped her joints. She thought it gave her more energy, that it was doing her muscles a favor, and maybe at one point it did. But past 60, our bodies change, and what once helped can now quietly make things worse. Here's what most people don't know about bananas. They contain fast digesting carbohydrates, meaning they hit your bloodstream quickly. Too quickly, in fact. Within minutes, bananas can spike your blood sugar, causing your body to release insulin. But after 60, insulin isn't always as effective as it used to be. The result? Insulin resistance, fluid retention, and low-grade inflammation, especially in your lower limbs. That's why so many seniors feel a strange heaviness in the legs after breakfast, or notice their ankles swelling, or feel a dull, pressing ache when going up the stairs. It's not just fatigue, it's blood sugar flooding your muscles, then crashing just as fast. And here's the thing, because bananas are marketed as healthy, we don't suspect them when the symptoms start. But the signs are there. Your knees feel stiff when standing, your calves tighten after short walks, you feel a strange swelling in your feet after sitting too long. And if you have heart issues or poor circulation, bananas can make it worse. Why? Because bananas make you retain fluid, that swelling in your legs or feet at night, that uncomfortable tightness around the ankles. For many seniors, especially those over 65, it isn't just age, it's the body's way of saying, this is too much sugar too fast. When my mother cut back on bananas, it didn't happen overnight. But within 2 weeks, she told me her knees felt a little lighter, that she could walk to the end of the driveway without needing to pause. It wasn't a miracle. It was her body finally getting some relief. You see, pineapple may irritate your joints with acid, but bananas sneak in through sugar and bloating. Two fruits, two completely different paths, but both leading to the same result, legs that no longer want to move the way they used to. So, if you've been eating bananas thinking they're helping your muscles, but you feel more tired, more stiff, more swollen, it might be time to rethink what that banana is really doing after 60. Grapes seem harmless. They're small, bite sized, easy to pop in your mouth while watching TV or reading the newspaper. They don't feel like indulgence, they feel like a healthy snack. In my mother's kitchen, grapes were always in the fridge, a bowl on the counter, a quick handful between meals. She said they were her guilt free treat. But here's what no one told her, or most seniors. Those tiny, juicy grapes are loaded with fructose, a natural sugar that sounds innocent but can wreak havoc on aging joints and circulation. Fructose doesn't get processed like regular sugar. It goes straight to the liver, where it turns into fat and uric acid. And if you've never heard of uric acid, here's what matters. It's the chemical responsible for gout, that burning, stabbing pain in your feet, toes, and knees. And even in people without gout, high uric acid levels can silently build up in the joints. My mother used to complain about a strange throbbing in her big toe at night. She said it felt like pressure from inside her bones. At the time, we thought it was just bad circulation. But after we cut out grapes, the pain faded, gradually but unmistakably. Here's why grapes are particularly tricky. You don't feel the damage right away. You don't connect that evening foot swelling to the grapes you had at lunch. And because they're natural, no one questions them. But the symptoms tell the story. Burning or tightness in the knees after dinner, a hot, swollen feeling in the feet that lingers, sharp discomfort in your big toe, especially at night or in the morning. It's easy to overlook and even easier to overeat because grapes are small, soft, addictive. And before you know it, you've eaten 2 or 3 full cups without blinking. That much sugar, even from fruit, floods the bloodstream. And for seniors, that can be the tipping point between manageable stiffness and days of discomfort. Fructose also fuels chronic inflammation, the slow burn behind every ache, every swollen joint, every limp that appears without warning. It's quiet, it's cumulative, and in grapes, it's wrapped in a skin so sweet you never suspect a thing. If your knees ache at night, if you've ever winced going up the stairs and said, I didn't even do anything today, check your fridge. Grapes might be the sweetest saboteur in your house. Watermelon feels like the safest fruit of them all. It's light, it's watery, it's refreshing, and it's become a summertime staple, especially for seniors trying to stay hydrated in the heat. My mother loved it after her walks. She'd say, it's mostly water, it's good for me, and I believed her. We all did. But then we noticed something strange. She felt worse on the days she had it. Her knees ached more, her ankles felt tight, and her legs, always her legs, felt heavier after lunch. We didn't make the connection at first, but when we looked closer, it started to make sense. You see, watermelon is more than just water. It has one of the highest glycemic indexes of any fruit. That means when you eat it, your blood sugar spikes fast, just like it would with candy. And for someone over 60, that sugar surge doesn't just disappear. It lingers, it builds inflammation, and it hits the parts of the body already struggling, especially the legs. If you've ever eaten watermelon and felt tired after, or noticed that your feet puffed up more than usual that evening, that might not be coincidence. That might be cause and effect, because blood sugar and circulation are linked. And in seniors, sugar spikes can lead to increased fluid retention, stiffness in the knees after sitting, swelling around the ankles that creeps in slowly and doesn't want to go away. And what's even more misleading is how innocent watermelon looks. It's 90% water. It's soft. It melts in your mouth. It doesn't feel heavy, so you eat a little more, then a little more. And suddenly you've had 3 slices and given your bloodstream a load of sugar it can't manage. That's the trap. You think you're hydrating, but what you're really doing is stressing your insulin system. You're setting the stage for joint pain, poor circulation, and heaviness in your legs. My mother noticed the pattern before we did. She said, I always feel worse after I eat it, but it's just fruit. And that's the key. It's not just fruit. Not anymore. Not when your body's processing power has slowed. Not when your veins are thinner. Not when your joints are already tired from years of wear. If you felt that post-lunch fog, that evening, ankle pain, or if climbing the stairs feels like hiking uphill after a healthy snack, look at what's on your plate. Sometimes it's not the weight of your body, it's the weight of what your body can no longer tolerate. Oranges are the fruit we're told to trust. They're bright, packed with vitamin C, and for decades they've been sold to us as immunity boosters, heart helpers, and morning essentials. My mother had orange juice with breakfast nearly every day, and if she wasn't drinking it, she was peeling a fresh one right after lunch. She believed it was keeping her strong, that it was a simple, smart habit, part of aging well. But her body told a different story. Because the more we paid attention, the more we saw a pattern between her leg pain and her citrus routine. You see, oranges are acidic, not mildly, not occasionally, consistently. And for seniors, that acid can quietly irritate already sensitive joints, especially if you have inflammation, stiffness, or arthritis, even in the early stages. The acid in oranges doesn't stay in your mouth, it moves through your gut. And once absorbed, it enters the bloodstream where it reaches your joints. For my mother, the signs were subtle at first. Her knees felt stiff in the mornings, her hips ached more after sitting for long periods. She'd wince when rising from her recliner, but still didn't suspect the orange gusts. We thought it was just age. But once we started reducing her citrus intake, the change was undeniable. That morning stiffness eased. The evening hip pain calmed. Her ability to move from one room to the next a little smoother every week. And there's another piece to this most people don't consider. Oranges aren't just acidic, they're sweet. Natural sugars? Yes, but still sugar, enough to cause small blood sugar swings in older adults with slowed metabolism. And when those swings hit, you feel it in your legs. That weird mix of restlessness and fatigue after eating, the creeping pressure in your calves during a walk, that tight, unexplainable tension that builds throughout the day. For many, it's not just aging. It's an immune system being constantly poked by inflammation and a joint structure quietly absorbing more acid than it can handle. The hardest part is how innocent it feels. We think we're doing something good. We've always been told vitamin C is safe. But there's a big difference between what's safe for a 30-year-old and what's safe for a 70-year-old with joint pain. Green apples are often seen as the safe fruit. They're crisp, low in sugar, tart instead of sweet, and they look healthy, clean, simple, no nonsense. My mother switched to them years ago. They don't taste as sugary, so they must be better for me. And in theory, she was right. But theory doesn't always match reality, especially when your body is older, especially when your joints have been through 7 or 8 decades of wear. Green apples contain something called malic acid. It's what gives them their sour flavor. In younger bodies, malic acid can help with energy, but in seniors, it can become a quiet irritant. It builds slowly, not in the gut, but in the joints. For my mother, the signs whispered. Her hips ached slightly more after lunch. Her thighs felt tight in the morning. She began describing a dull, restless heat in her knees at night. We chalked it up to the weather, to age, to being on her feet. But when we paused the green apples, the fire dimmed. Malic acid isn't harmful for everyone, but in a sensitive digestive system, where the gut lining is thin, it can seep into the bloodstream and make its way to the knees, the hips, the joints that are already tired. And even though green apples don't taste sweet, they still contain natural sugar, enough to spike blood sugar in slower metabolisms, especially if you eat them before bed or on an empty stomach. If you've been eating green apples at night and waking up with leg cramps or feeling stiff after sitting too long, it may not be your chair, it may not be your mattress, it may be the fruit you thought was safe. Dried fruit seems innocent enough. It's just fruit, right? Just smaller, chewier, a little sweeter. My mother kept a small container of it near her chair, a few raisins, a couple of dates, maybe some dried apricots. She thought of it as a light snack. Nothing big, nothing harmful. But what most seniors don't realize is that dried fruit is sugar in disguise. When fruit is dried, it loses water, but keeps all of its sugar. In fact, that sugar becomes concentrated. One handful of raisins, that's like eating a full bunch of grapes. One dried apricot, as much sugar as a fresh peach. And that sugar hits hard, especially when you're older, when your insulin doesn't respond as fast, when your legs already feel heavy at the end of the day. That sugar surge leads to inflammation, fluid retention, and swelling or fatigue in the legs by nightfall. And because dried fruit is sticky, it lingers in your mouth, in your stomach, in your bloodstream. If you've ever felt puffy feet, tight calves, or aching knees in the evening, check your snack drawer, because sometimes the smallest snack leaves the biggest bruise. What helped my mother walk again? We didn't stop eating fruit. We didn't throw everything out of the fridge. We didn't go on some extreme diet. We just started paying attention. We noticed which fruits left her ankles swollen, which ones made her knees feel stiff after sitting, which ones kept her up at night with that deep, aching tension in her legs, and we noticed which ones didn't. So we made some quiet changes. We set the pineapple aside, we stopped buying grapes, we paused the bananas she always had with breakfast, we put the citrus away, and cleared out the dried fruit from the cabinet. And then we added back only what helped her move again, and may even help. These are the fruits that stayed, not because they were trendy, but because they didn't fight her body. Blueberries, small, soft, and full of antioxidants that help calm inflammation. Blackberries, lower in sugar, higher in fiber, gentle on her blood sugar. Cherries, just a few tart ones, enough to ease joint pain without triggering swelling. Pears, soft, smooth, and less acidic than apples, her new favorite bedtime fruit. Papaya? She calls it her sunshine fruit, rich, mellow, and kind to her digestion. Avocado. Yes, it's a fruit. And the healthy fat cushions her joints, especially after a long day. Kiwi. Half of one at lunch gives her the vitamin C she used to get from oranges without the sting. These didn't just help her joints feel better, they gave her confidence back, because now she knows what supports her legs and what slows them down. It didn't happen overnight, but one morning she stood up from the table and realized she didn't need to hold the chair anymore. The following week, she made it all the way to the mailbox and back, no stops. She looked at me and said, "My legs feel a little lighter," and I believed her. Because the heaviness, it wasn't just in her legs, it was in her habits, the ones we thought were helping. Now the swelling is gone, the deep stiffness in the knees, calmer. The nightly aches that used to keep her tossing and turning, fading. She still eats fruit, but now she eats with awareness, with understanding, and with hope, not hesitation. So, if you're watching this and your legs have felt heavier than they used to, if your knees lock up more often, if your ankles swell after meals or feel tight by evening, please know it's not just age, it might be your fruit bowl. Your body isn't breaking down, it's trying to speak up, and sometimes the very things we think are healthy are the ones quietly stealing our movement. So, we've made this easy. You can download a free fruit guide in the description. It includes the 7 worst fruits for aging joints, the best swaps we used at home, and 3 simple habits to reduce leg swelling. Starting tonight, print it, keep it on the fridge, share it with someone who needs it. And if this video helped you feel understood, I'd be honored if you'd subscribe, because at Senior Revival, we believe your best years don't end at 60. Not if you listen to your body, not if you learn what it needs, and not if you walk forward, one stronger step at a time.